Hey, and welcome back to our third video of making sprites with Blender. We are back where we left off with our guy, and today we're gonna give him an armature. That is a skeleton. So yay for him, I guess. Let's get going. Start by going into wireframe mode, and then press this green button to go into front view. Now that we have him in front view, press Shift A, bring in an armature. So now it placed a bone down here. Press G and Z to move it up, place it around here. This is gonna be our pelvic bone. Go into edit mode by pressing tab and go into this bone window and name this bone. Name it pelvis. Now we can use E to extrude, just like we did when we modeled. So extrude to around about here, and we will name this bone the, I don't even know, abdomen? Lower bod. Let's just call it lower bod because I don't know words that call this upper bod. Yes, great. And then do another one for the head. Awesome. Now we can go shift click to duplicate this bone, put it around here, grab this part, press G, press Z. We want it to turn this way and go down about to the knees and move it a bit over. Extrude again, press Z, go down to about here. I think that maybe we're gonna need some more geometry here because we don't really have anything to bend here. We only have one line, so we might have to change that, but let's do it when we see that it's a problem. Let's finish this first. So now go to the side view and extrude down to the toes. So right, now let's name these bones that I didn't do. Let's call this the upper leg, and now let's give it a dot and an L. So that stands for left, and this has a significance, and you will see why in a little bit. So call this the lower leg dot L and the foot dot L. Okay, so now duplicate this one, put it, let's first Control Z that, go here to the front view. So it comes where it's supposed to. Put it around here, take this one, go down to the elbow, extrude down to the wrist. No, is that what it's called? I don't know. Before the hand, and then do the hand. And now let's name these. So upper arm dot L, lower arm dot L, and hand dot L. Now let's also fix these from the side. So go to a side view. We want these to be in a better alignment with the body. So this is a little curvature. This should probably also go back a little bit. Knees to the front a little bit. I think this is probably quite okay. And then this needs to go back a little bit. Yep, go to top view. And let's make sure that these are where they're supposed to be. So GY to move it, GY to move that. Let's just bring this up a little, GY. Okay, that looks quite okay. However, you can see that this line means that this bone is parented to that bone. So when you move this bone will move. But we want to parent this bone to this bone. So first we need to clear this parent. So Alt P, clear parent. Then with this selected, you select the bone you want to parent it to, and then press Control P. And then you want to make parent, but keep offset. So now the offset between these are kept, otherwise this bone would have been moved up to this bone. but it's parented. So when we move this bone is going to follow. And let's do the same thing with the upper leg and the pelvis. Control P, keep offset. All right. So now we have one side, and since we named it L at the end, Blender has a clever way of mirroring it for us. So we are very thankful for that. However, first, let's select all of our bones, go to Apply Visual Transform. Otherwise, we might get weird behavior. Then select the bones that we want to mirror, right-click, and press Symmetrize. And look, we have a symmetric skeletal structure on the other side. So we only have to do one side, and yes, thank you for that. I'm just gonna move this up a little bit. Okay, so basically now we have a skeleton. From here, we could go on to rigging this skeleton by using inverse kinematics or forward kinematics and solvers and a lot of that stuff, but we're not going to do that, since for our project we are only going to use a few frames for each animation, since it's going to be a 2D animation, which means that we'll be making these key frames ourselves. We don't need to use any of the advanced features. Basically, we're just going to keep it as basic as possible so that we can do something fast and move on. So because of that, we're quite done. The thing that we have to do now is to parent our object, or rather make our object use our armature, because it doesn't. Right now, if we go into pose mode and we move something, our object isn't following. But there's an easy way to fix this. If you, let's see, we need to go to object mode. So if you press our object and then press the armature, shift click, and then control P like we did before, we have some new options for parenting. So now we can do in armature deform, we can parent with automatic weights. Now if we move it, stuff is going to happen, right? So let's go back into pose mode. And look, it looks really weird, but it works, which is exactly what we want. And we can fix this weirdness. If you want to see what it looks like with colors, first you can't see the bones, but you can fix that inside of this object data and the viewport display. You can say in front. So now you see the bones always. All right, to fix this weird deformation, what we got to do is, and I never quite remember which order you press things here. First press the armature, then press your object, then you get this weight paint option. Okay, so now if you go into this object data tab, here is vertex groups. So what this is basically, this is each bone. And then you can see what vertices that the bone influences. So you can see here that the head bone influences the head with a weight of 1. So 1 is complete influence and 0 is none, of course. Yeah. So if we would, for example, look at an upper arm R, you can see that it has influence over all of these bones. And I'm thinking that our upper bod, that we called it, needs more influence over these bones. That's why it looks weird when we deform it. So what we could do is we could first go to, or can we not? All right, let's just go to object mode. Let's take this, go to pose mode, and let's just give it a pose where it looks weird. So we can actually fix the skinning while it looks weird. So let's do this. See, it looks super odd. Although that's probably not even something that you can do with your body. Let's just make it like, oh, sorry. Let's go to the top, put it in here. So this is all looking really weird, and let's see what we can do to fix that. All right, so let's go back to object mode. First armature, then object, and then weight paint. And make sure you're in the solid mode, solid display mode, because that's easier to see the weights. So obviously our upper bot, which is this bone, doesn't have enough weight control here. So what we can do is, if you press view, you can open up tool settings. Here we can see our paintbrush right now where we're painting weights. Here I'm painting with 1. Sorry, don't want that. So we can say that this has absolute, the upper body now has absolute control over these vertices. But we can also take the weight down and paint with less weight, or you can keep the weight up and then take down the strength, and we can see what we can get. All right, I don't know. We are still at the upper body, and I probably want it to have more control over here. This is ours, right? Let's do like that. Maybe, I don't know, it doesn't want... so this is also just a trial and error. Just try to see what works, what doesn't work. I'm no expert, but you guys just do your best and try this. And see what will work for you. All right, there's something. We need to go back actually to, first go to object mode, then select this, go to pose mode. So we need to pose this a little bit differently to see all of the weird little quirks. So obviously this isn't looking too great. And then you might ask, why not? So let's see. Whee. Okay, so this has too much. This should probably not follow along with this bone. So get out of pose mode, go into object mode. Go back to weight paint, select the upper arm R. Alright, drag down the weight. Now it has no effect on these bones. It shouldn't have an effect here probably. Let's pull it up a little, but less. Okay. This is still bending oddly, although gotta say, let's see, this shouldn't affect the back, right? So the back should stay unaffected by whatever that's doing. Alright, so I don't know what twisting is going on here. It might also be that I'm actually twisting the arm right now in a way that it's not supposed to. It might not be the weight paint, but actually the... Let's just go into pose mode, pose. If we do rotate on the Z axis, we could probably just make it at least a little bit better. Alright, so the thing is, as long as it looks, okay, we can do clear pose transforms. As long as it looks okay for all of our regular animations, I don't think we'll go too bananas. So let's just check that also this is looking okay. So the knee is bending okay. The butt is bending okay. That is good enough for us. Okay, this is looking a little weird, I guess. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's just also try the foot. All right, I think that will be fine for us. We still so if we press F12 now, we can see our pose. So the thing is, of course, since we have such a low resolution, it's very forgiving. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? So let's not make it harder than it has to be. If we were making a real 3D game or something, we'd have to spend a lot of time to make it look completely natural and completely good. Now, I'm not sure you're gonna even see most of it. But still, I want to just fix the vertices issue. So go to object mode and select the mesh. Go to weight paint, select the maybe pelvis, yes. And we want the pelvis to have a little bit more influence over the butt, so it doesn't move as much, right? Okay, so even more around here. Oh, maybe not total control. You want it split, but more. And let's also go with the upper leg R and say that it has less control over the butt. That did a lot, actually. All right, so is it looking better? I think it is looking better. All right, great. So I just saw something else. What's happening over here? What is happening over here? Did I accidentally do that now? Yeah, I did. So you gotta be careful. All right, I think it looks well enough for us to continue. So that will be all for this video. Let me just get out of the weight paint mode. Yeah, the butt looks much better. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll maybe pose him and make some animation or something. All right, hej då!